This is Hannibal, the biggest combat sports event in a while. I can't remember the last time I've heard people talking about a fight, a legitimate fight, as much as I've heard people talking about the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson event from the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, where I've been to see the Rangers defeat the Blue Jays a few years ago. Coming up tomorrow, Friday, they had the press conference today, and it was executed very well. Jake Paul was slapped by Mike Tyson. He no-sold it. Even though it was Mike Tyson that slapped Jake Paul played a great heel. Better heel than anyone I've seen play heel in wrestling one time. Better press conference, by the way. This is the best press conference I've seen in a long time, including wrestling where you can fake press conferences and actually make them more entertaining. But usually in most recent years, they go the lame route for wrestling press conferences. A very good press conference. It made me want to watch the fight, and I'm not even that big of a boxing fan. You have to say this is the most publicity a boxing match has had for a long time, because recently a lot of the big boxing matches have been in Saudi Arabia. And although the boxers have made tons of money and there's been some dream matches take place, they haven't received very big pay-per-view buys and people haven't paid that much attention. This is on Netflix. It's historic. It's the first pay-per-view level event that's going to be streamed on Netflix. Of course, wrestling pay-per-views are going to start to be on Netflix beginning in January, I think, with the Royal Rumble. Another interesting thing, just to compare this to wrestling, we always hear these days people saying WWE is so popular, blah, 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 blah. I remember in the Attitude Era with The Rock and Austin, people everywhere were talking about wrestling. You saw wrestling shirts everywhere in the malls and the gyms. As a wrestling fan, as a wrestler, people were always asking me or talking to me about wrestling. The last time I heard this much, a lot of interest in wrestling was when Rock came back earlier this year. But all week, everywhere I go, people have been talking about this boxing match. It's really in Jake Paul's favor. He's like 30 years younger. He's been training and having more boxing matches lately. Tyson has had some exhibitions in recent years. His last actual pro fights were not very impressive. He actually, I believe, quit his last one. However, I don't know what the testing is for this. This is obviously a big money fight. Paul's making at least 20 million. Tyson's making at least 10 million. Obviously, Tyson might try a lot harder. I don't know what's allowed as far as TRT and so forth. Obviously, the longer the fight goes, the more it will be in Paul's favor. Tyson is definitely the baby face, I would say. Everybody wants to see Jake Paul knocked out, and he's played a great heel, even though Tyson has usually been the heel throughout his career until he's become kind of this beloved figure in recent years. The only thing, the main disadvantages you have to say for Tyson is his age, the 30-year age difference. I've read Mike Tyson's book several times. He was a very heavy drug user most of his life, not just weed, very heavy drugs. And I know now he's more weed and mushrooms. It's amazing because from like the time he was like 13 and 14, he's been involved with like chemical drugs, which will take their toll on the body physically. Yes, there's all these things, stem cells and so forth that he's had that will help the body recover from destroying your body with that. But I know Jake Paul drinks here and there, but I don't think he has a history longer than Jake Paul's been alive of taking heavy drugs. So that's another reason I think the longer this goes, the more it will be in Jake Paul's favor. Could the whole press conference have been a work? Very, very possible. The other thing I have to say about this, what the heck? Why does everyone like Ariel Hawani so much? To me, he's kind of a lame interviewer. I mean, congratulations for him for doing as well as he's done. But one thing I noticed about this, I really don't like his interview style. But yeah, you guys can write your predictions in the comment. I will hope personally that Mike Tyson wins, but I would say if it goes past the second round, Mike Tyson is going to have a very hard time, uh, and someone might throw in the towel, or he might just quit, as he did in his last professional fight. So, and if it goes beyond that, Jake Paul's going to have a huge advantage just because he hasn't been a drug, like Mike Tyson has admitted to being a drug addict for years. Yes, he's an amazing athlete, possibly right up there with Ali as being probably one of the two most famous boxers of all time. He still has power, he still has technique, but he's just put his body through so much. ATF Media has the Ronnie Garvin comment. What's my favorite Tyson fight from the old days? I just like the whole persona he had, and like the Goldberg-esque knockout streak that he had in general of just going through everybody like they were nothing. That was the main thing I liked. There's no real fights that stand out. Obviously, the Michael Spinks where Spinks looked like he was basically crapping himself before that fight. Royalty, if I have to actually give a prediction, I would just say realistically Jake Paul. If Jake Paul doesn't win, I would highly suspect it to work. Do I think Jake can make it past the first round? Yes. Keep in mind, Jake is a multi-millionaire. He's being trained by the best people. He's got 30 years. Mike Tyson has 30 years on him. And as I said, the difference of the lifestyle that they live, Jake Paul overall has lived a much healthier lifestyle. I would like Mike Tyson to win, but the reality is he doesn't stand a chance. If Jake can make it fast past the first two rounds, he has a chance, but he thinks Tyson will knock him out. He's definitely on testosterone. I don't think they're testing either, and there's probably other stuff as well. I mean, Jake Paul, he may not have fought any. Well, he didn't. Anyways, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I agree with you. Mike Tyson's best chances are in the first two rounds. Hey, Andre. Tyson does know what he's doing. Either way, both of these guys win because they're making a fortune on it. And I don't think Tyson is going to get knocked out. I think someone will throw in the towel or he'll quit before he's knocked out. I think if Tyson gets in trouble, he knows how to protect himself well enough to not get knocked out. I don't expect Tyson to get knocked out. I'm not saying no one's going to throw in the towel or he's not going to give up. You know what would be interesting? I don't know if it would happen if someone from Saudi Arabia, and this could happen now that Haku has this crazy reputation, if they would pay him enough, even, I don't know if he's 60 or not yet, to have a legitimate fight in Saudi Arabia for an amount of money that he couldn't refuse. Because I think all the wrestling fans would tune into that. And maybe that fight should be the follow-up fight for Mike Tyson. Because honestly, I've heard Tyson saying he wants to fight all these other guys, but let's face the fact, if he loses this, there's not going to be much more people wanting to see him continue fighting. They're just going to be like, okay, you had your last hurrah. Stick to movies and podcasts. Nobody likes seeing, even if they're making $10 million, people that shouldn't be in the ring that are almost 60. I think he's 58. still fighting. This particular fight, there's enough interest in it. It's worth doing. Young versus old. And Mike Tyson is such a beloved person, but nobody's gonna want to see Tyson if he loses this. I don't think he should continue. But if people are still gonna make offers that he can't refuse, why not? I don't know what the betting odds are. So if someone wants to look that up before I close this, they're both making ridiculous money for this, Craig. As I said, Jake Paul over 20, Mike Tyson over 10. Mike's movement is very good, but again, he might start to get tired. He's put his body through a lot and he's older. Anything is possible. And you know what? I've seen Mike Tyson actually on a Logan Paul interview eat mushrooms by the handful. So all I'm saying is, I mean, I know mushrooms are a lot better than the white powdery stuff that he took for years in extremely large amounts. He said in his book he would buy it by the kilo. But like all that stuff adds up. And we all respect Mike Tyson. And again, it's good to see. To me, it's good to see people talking about combat sports like this and interested in it. Because as I said, UFC around the George St. Pierre era, the Brock Lesnar era, people were, I'm not saying it's not popular, but people were like talking about it all the time. I mean, I worked in the bar industry. I worked in gyms at those times. People were always talking about it. In recent years, UFC really hasn't had a star to the level of the guys that they did in the past. Let's face. I mean, Conor McGregor is still a huge star, but he hardly fights. John Jones is a great fighter, but he's nowhere near the level of a McGregor. And Ronda Rousey was the only female they really had that was over to a superstar level. So it's just good to see people taking an interest in combat sports. Mayweather Tyson. I honestly think Jake Paul is a bigger name than Mayweather. I honestly believe that because Mayweather is not in the mainstream as much as Jake Paul. Jake Paul has 30 million YouTube subscribers, and people in our age bracket, well, they're not older, but well, I guess older. People above 30 might not be as big fans as Jake Paul as people 30 and under, but I'm well enough aware of him to know he's way better known than Mayweather. I don't think Mayweather versus Tyson will have as much appeal as this, because this is literally the old versus the new. People that grew up in the 80s with Mike Tyson as the ultimate guy, wanting to see him knock out this guy that got famous out of YouTube, has become a good boxer, but he also kind of had a spoiled way up where Mike Tyson was not. So it's a good storyline. Anyways, guys, thumbs up to their press conference. The best press conference I've seen in combat sports for a while. And let me know in the comments what you guys think. As I said, I'm not a boxing fan. I'm definitely going to watch this. I don't have Netflix, but I'm sure I will find a way. Have a great night. I'll be back with a wrestling news update.